You're watching Channel 7 Action News.
On the heels of President Barack Obama's historic announcement regarding Osama bin Laden's death, thousands of people took to the streets across the country celebrating with chants of USA and proudly waving the American flag.
We're joined right now by Anne-Marie LaFlame from the Detroit area, and you were actually at Ground Zero last night. You were nearby when you heard that this was going to happen, that there was going to be an announcement made, and you raced over to Ground Zero before the president even announced.
I did.
So what was going on there?
It was chaotic. It was emotional. There was a huge celebration of everyone. It was just everyone was united, chanting USA. We sang God Bless America, the national anthem, the Pledge of Allegiance. It was really emotional, but it was a happy, celebratory kind of thing.
Now, you were only 14 when 9/11 happened. This is 10 years later for you. I mean, what happened to you? Were you crying last night? What were you feeling inside?
It was the emotion of being an American, something that we all feel when we think about September 11th, but the emotion of being directly in contact with the people that lost loved ones on that day. And I think we kind of forget, it's been so long, but this is something that they live with every single day.
We're going to ask our director to roll a little video in that Anne-Marie actually shot. You were actually there working for Ford at the auto show in New York, and so you were just finishing up your week when this happened. So what are we watching here as the video you took here?
This is a video of us approaching Ground Zero after I got out of the cab. As you can see, there's a woman right there. She's speaking with a police officer, and she's talking about where she lost her loved one. And you can tell she's really emotional, and then she just walked over to the wall. And it was just so emotional to watch.
So what was the mood of the people? Was it, we've been hearing a lot of debate about whether people are reveling in a death or are they celebrating a victory? Which was the mood?
Right, that's something I really struggled with when I arrived, because I didn't want to be there celebrating death. I didn't feel like that was right after everything that had happened. But once I was there and I was with all of the people, all of the Americans, any race, religion, everyone was united, emotional, happy. It wasn't a terrible thing that, you know, we were trying to be sadistic about.
We're going to show some pictures, but you told me about seeing a man who opened up a photo album right there on the spot with you, and you gave him a hug. What was that photo album?
Before we get to that, first of all, we do have a picture. What is that one?
That was just at Ground Zero. There were people waving flags, celebrating, cheering, and that's what the mood kind of was, all about America and being excited.
Saw a lot of flags there, I'm going to guess.
Oh yeah, that's just a general shot of all the people. You can see how many people were actually there.
And you were actually kind of on, I think it's Church Street on the one side where the towers were on the far side.
Now, as we're looking at the pictures, there were so many people there with pictures in hand, remembering what happened on 9/11. So as you were snapping shots, tell me about the Muslim gentleman. I think you said he had a photo album of family members who had passed away.
I met a gentleman who had the book the New York Times had published with the obituaries of those that were killed on 9/11, and I actually spoke with him. He opened the book. He showed me his brother-in-law who had passed, who was a stockbroker, and some of his friends, and it was so touching and so real and so genuine, because it's not something that we typically are able to do, to comfort those that we see on TV, which is something we all want to do. But I was able to give this stranger a hug and offer him, you know, some compassion and some kindness, and it really is something that touched me really deeply, and I'll remember for a very long time.
And Carolyn touched on something. You talked about the Muslim gentlemen that were there holding an American flag, and so as the president said in his speech last night, this is not about the Muslims. This was about Osama bin Laden.
Right. I think that's so important, and that was what was so remarkable about yesterday. Like I said, there was young and old, any race, any religion, and I think it's so rare that you find something where everyone comes together to celebrate something with no judgment.
When you think about the crowd, because you're a young woman, that you told me there were a lot of young people in the crowd. Were you amazed by that? Because a lot of people were so young when 9/11 happened.
Right, and I think that's what was so great about it. I think us young people were compelled to go there because we were young. I couldn't go to Ground Zero when I was 14 to try to help people or search for people. So it's my way to get involved and to help other people and to show compassion and kindness to them.
This is the first time you've ever been to Ground Zero. You've been to New York a time or two, but that was the first time you've actually been to Ground Zero.
It was.
And what'd you think when you were, I mean, obviously you're in a spectacular moment anyway because of what's going on at that particular moment, almost 10 years afterwards. I mean, like, give us your feeling of what was going through your brain.
It was remarkable how it still looks like it could have happened last year. There's still so much construction going on. There's memorials up, but there were flowers everywhere when I arrived there. And so I'm anticipating that those were there earlier from the day, that people were just there paying tribute to those. So it's just great to know that people are continuously thinking about what's going on, supporting our troops overseas, and kind of working towards that common goal of being an American and being united.
Well, I'm sure this experience is going to stay with you, and you'll be talking about it for a long time.
Absolutely.
And Marie, thank you so very much for coming in. And I know you just got off the airplane this afternoon after a long night. You didn't leave till like 4 o'clock in the morning, huh?
No, I didn't.
All right, well, again, thank you for coming in.